You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I wish you all the best also with the week ahead, with whatever you've planned this week. Thank you for joining us here on 702. How did you find the Mexican Grand Prix last night? I stayed up because I didn't want to miss it. Why didn't I want to miss it? Well, because Charles and Lewis, we're going to start from P2 and P3. And I thought this is a great chance for Ferrari. I wanted to see both Charles and Lewis on the podium at the end of the race. But that was wishful thinking. It wasn't to be so for Lewis for all sorts of reasons. You know, I have no capacity to even get into those reasons. But well done to Lando Norris, who finished first, followed by Charles and Max. Lando had a brilliant start, good pace. He's now on top of the driver's table. Let's see how the next races are going to look like. I'm interested, though, in how you found the Mexican Grand Prix. Were you excited? Were you disappointed? 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. How many of you were supposed to run the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon actually managed to find another marathon to run after the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon was cancelled last week? I mean, we were all wondering last week about what we are going to do with all the miles that we have loaded. And I wonder if you have managed to find another marathon to offload or if you're just letting it go. I know other people have decided to consider the Soweto Marathon. Some of us went to KwaZulu-Natal this weekend to do the Sapphire Coast Marathon in Amazimtoti. It was so well organized and so well curated. I loved it, except my Achilles showed me flames from around 10K. So I just ran to finish, basically, because I was injured. What have you decided to do, though, after the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon was cancelled? Is that it for you, or you do still want to run another marathon before the year ends? And which one is that? Please give me a call or send me a WhatsApp voice note. By the way, does anybody know how the name Amazimtoti came about? Because someone said to me that Shaka Zulu named the place Amazimtoti because the water just tasted different. And I must say, the water did taste different during the run yesterday. And of course, some of that water probably was ordered from Joburg or whatever the case may be. But because I had that information at the back of my mind about Shaka Zulu supposedly saying the water here tastes different, that's how it felt, or that's how the water tasted to me. And different, not in a good way. It's just a funny taste to the water. Or maybe it was in the sun for too long. I don't know. But that's how I felt. But if anybody knows the history around even the name of the place, how that came about, please let me know. I'm interested to learn that. 011-883-0702.
Clement Manyathela. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Yo, Clement, Amazimtoti. Shaka didn't want to say Amanzi, Nandi, because his mother is Nandi. So he came about it arrived, I'm told because I didn't want abantu to say amanzi amnandi, and then he said amanzi amtoti because of umama wake ngunandi angafuni ukuthi amanzi amnandi.
Interesting.
Morning, Clement and the 702 land. It's truly at Sky City. Yeah, Ash, on my side after Sanlam, I just decided that no, all the fitness, I will go and offload everything at Jacaranda on the 8th of November. Jacaranda Marathon. Yeah, there at Pretoria.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Someone else says, hi, Clement. After the Cape Town movie, we are heading to Nelspruit for the Kapsehoop Marathon. That's a message there from Tato. So there are a few options then that are available for some people who still want to offload on what they've loaded, the miles that they've loaded. I decided to do it at Amazimtoti yesterday. Yeah, I decided to do it at Amazimtoti yesterday. And some people, I know Soweto Marathon is coming up as well. Soweto is really tough for me. My first marathon actually was Soweto Marathon. I mean, who starts their first marathon? Was it Soweto? Yeah, I think it was. Probably first or second. And that was so tough. But anyway, that's another option that other people are looking at. What are you doing? How are you replacing the Cape Town Marathon? Because some people do want to continue with training until they can just get it right and do maybe the last marathon for the year. What is it for you? You can give me a call or send me a WhatsApp voice note. It's 16 minutes after 9.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on
Why are
702.
people telling me about, Pirates didn't play this weekend, and if Pirates played, we would have woken up to a Pirates song on your show. What happened, Gandhi? What did I miss? Did Chiefs play and miraculously win? Because normally when these messages come, you know that that's probably what happened. I am not aware of Chiefs winning anything lately or even this past weekend. So if they won anything, please let me know. I don't mind congratulating them. Here's a question I have for you. It's a bit of a tricky one. What do you think should happen now to some of the senior cops that have been implicated at the Madlanga Commission? And I'm asking you this question not because I have an answer or because I think what I'm suggesting perhaps is the right thing to do. I am a little concerned that the evidence we have seen being produced at the Madlanga Commission has really implicated or shows the extent to which some of our senior cops have actually had relations with criminals, some of whom are behind bars right now as we speak. And that concerns me. And there are people who have investigated the crimes or the alleged crimes against these guys that are arrested, some of whom are on bail. And I wonder if those people's lives are not more in danger now that they're spilling the beans and giving the details of what's been uncovered. So what I'm saying is, the longer you've got these senior cops in the force and continuing with their work, the more danger is placed on the people that have been investigating this criminal syndicate. And I'm trying to figure out what the option could be. Because President Cyril Ramaphosa, when he established the Madlanga Commission, he said the commissioners must be the ones that decide whether there must be people that must be arrested, whether there must be cases that must be prioritized and investigated, etc., etc. But the evidence that we've been seeing at the Madlanga Commission, I mean, you look at the head of the Hawks in KwaZulu-Natal, the relationship that he had with Ket Matlala, the conversations that they had. You look at the flats that were supposedly, apparently patched, they were discussing that. You look at the conversation that the organized crime, the head of organized crime in this country had with the guys who were investigating Katiso Molefe. I can go on and on. There's a Ferenaching or some district commissioner who who went to visit Katiso Molefe in jail, who's had some questionable behavior based on the evidence we've had at the Madlanga Commission. There's General Sinona, there's Richard Shibiri. I can go on, and I'm wondering if you think these people must be suspended temporarily while the work at the Madlanga Commission continues and the SAPS can start their work of also following their own internal processes to figure out if they didn't violate any laws. Or do you think that it's better to wait for the end of the commission? Let's wait for the end of the commission and then let's hear what the recommendations will be from the commissioners. My worry with that is, what happens between now and then? Do you really think that these people that are being exposed, these guys that are being exposed, are just sitting and doing nothing? And they're just going to wait until they go to the Madlanga Commission, put their story there, and then they go back home and they do their job? My worry is there are so many people that have been killed here. Whistleblowers, police officers who are investigating crimes that were linked to some of these powerful business people. And here are the cops that we are told were protecting those people. Do you really think they're not going to mount a fight back? Are we waiting for somebody else to die? One of the cops investigating to die first before we can say, okay, something has got to be done here. They must be arrested, or the SAPS must investigate their roles and their behaviors with these criminal elements. What are we waiting for? And I worry that by the time that decision gets taken, it's probably going to be too late. Let me know what your thoughts are on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. I've got Orrin Singh, who is our EWN reporter, who's going to join us after the break, just to explain to you who are some of these senior cops that have been mentioned at the Madlanga Commission. Because I think sometimes we forget, because there's so much going on. You're focusing on the Madlanga, you're focusing on Parliament, but there's certain people that, at least based on the evidence that's been presented at the Madlanga Commission, are compromised as senior cops. And we've got to know their names, we've got to know what they're involved in, and hopefully there will be a decision taken so that they stop their work on their tracks, because we don't know what else they're doing. I mean, for a district commissioner to go visit someone who is accused of such ridiculous, crazy crimes like Katiso Molefe, and you've got a district police commissioner who goes to bring him food and clothes, what does that tell you? That conversation coming up, but please let me know your thoughts. Give me a call or send me a WhatsApp voice note. It's 22 after 9.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
25 minutes after 9 o'clock. I'll get to your calls in a moment and your WhatsApps. I want to bring in Orrin Singh now, who's our EWN reporter, just to lay the foundation, because some of you may not be aware of what we have uncovered so far, or what's been revealed so far at the Madlanga Commission around some of these senior cops that are still at work as we speak. So Orrin Singh has been at the commission and looking at evidence that's coming from these, especially these detectives that have been testifying over the last week or so. Orrin, thank you so much for coming through. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement.
Let's start with maybe the head of the Hawks in KwaZulu-Natal. What's been revealed so far about him and the links that he has to these people that the police believe are part of the criminal syndicate?
Startling revelations coming out against the head of the Hawks in KwaZulu-Natal, Lesetja Sinona. We heard initially from the likes of Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, KZN Police Boss, and the head of crime intelligence, Dumisani Khumalo, when they testified earlier in the year, Clement, at the Madlanga Commission, that there were links between Lesetja Sinona, but more specifically Sinona's son, Tato, who had links to Vuzi Kat Matlala, and that Tato Sinona and Kat Matlala had some sort of business relations related to a company that is under Tato Sinona's name. And we further saw evidence in the form of WhatsApp messages between Vuzi Kat Matlala and Sinona talking about this 360 million rand police contract, where Vuzi Matlala was
The line is not good at all. I'm putting you back to the producers. Let's try and get you on a different line. Hopefully that'll be much better. But Orrin was telling us there about the relationship that General Sinona had with Kat Matlala. It's really concerning. It's really concerning. And that just goes to show how these guys are actually connected. They really are. I mean, how they are protected. The business people, that is. Dad on the WhatsApp line says, "Hi Clement, it's very concerned. What's very concerning is that Kat Matlala wrote an affidavit which was allegedly prepared by General Sibiya, and the very Kat again wrote an affidavit which was allegedly solicited by the police minister's lawyers." Yes, that's what Becky Kele said. In fact, at the parliamentary inquiry, Becky Kele said, when he met with Kat Matlala told him that, hey, there's a war happening here and I'm getting involved in it. Kat Matlala told Becky Kele that General Sibiya has actually written an affidavit for him, and General Sibiya wants that affidavit to be disposed to the police as if it is Kat Matlala's, which is why there was a mention of Rolex being stolen. And Becky Kele, I think last week, was saying that's not even true. There was no Rolex that was stolen by the political killing task team detectives or police officers. But it was all because General Sibiya wanted to see General Khumalo, Dumisani Khumalo, somehow arrested or charged. That's how bad it was. That's how these guys have been trying to fight each other. And General Khumalo ended up being arrested. And whether that is because there is actual evidence, I hope the IDEC, when they come to the Madlanga Commission, they can share that with us. Or if it's all part of these factional fights, we just don't know at this point. And that probably, and I hope, will be revealed very soon. So I'll get Orrin Singh back after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. We'll start again. I'll get him to start with that Hawk's Head. Just listen carefully to what he tells you about even the conversation between the Hawk's Head in KwaZulu-Natal and Kat Matlala. The conversation that they had on WhatsApp. It's quite shocking. And then you've got other district commissioners, senior cops. As soon as Katiso Molefe is arrested, they want to run over to, in fact, some of them were busy calling the detectives and said, these are senior cops. They're calling the police officers and saying, do you guys know how dangerous the person you guys have arrested is? Really? Is that what should concern you as a top cop? When someone is accused of such serious crimes and they get arrested, you are calling the people investigating him and you're saying, you know how dangerous that person is. He's close to the generals. Yeah, the rot is far deeper, my friends. The question I'm asking though is should we wait for the end of the commission before these guys can even be placed on suspension, or they can be told to go stay at home? Because I worry that they're going to use the resources they have in the SAPS to go after the people who have investigated and have exposed them. That's what I'm worried about. I worry that we may end up with some of these guys being killed who are investigating. Because these guys are still in the police service. But the evidence we've had so far is concerning and I think deserves to be acted on as soon as possible. Otherwise, we may just regret it soon. Keeping them at work like that, as if there's nothing we've uncovered. It's 9:31.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
25 minutes before 10 o'clock. We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. We've got Orrin Singh back with us, our EWN reporter who has been at the Madlanga Commission. Orrin, we've got you on a much better line now. You were still explaining to us what we have uncovered or the evidence that has been presented at the Madlanga Commission around the link between the head of the Hawks in KwaZulu-Natal and people like Kat Matlala.
Yes, good morning, Clement. Well, I think the name of KZN Hawks boss, Lesetja Senona, was first raised by Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhonazi and the Head of Crime Intelligence, Dumisani Khumalo, when they testified before the Commission some weeks back. And essentially, they presented evidence showing WhatsApp exchanges or suggesting that there was evidence of WhatsApp exchanges between Sinona and Vusimusi Matlala. Last week, when we saw these detectives attached to the counterintelligence Gauteng operations unit testify in camera before the Commission, witness A, B, and C, they went a little bit into more detail around these messages between Sinona and Matlala. Essentially, we saw WhatsApp exchanges between the pair that related to business dealings with Sinona's son, Tato Sinona. From what the evidence has been presented at the Commission, it's alleged that Tato Sinona and Vusimusi Matlala had some sort of business relationship in terms of the entities that they're directors of. And that the allegations suggest that Lesetja Sinona has been protecting Vusimusi Matlala in order to ensure that his son and Vusi have these business relationships that are uninterrupted. But I think the one thing that came out that was quite scary or quite damning against Lesetja Sinona, Clement, is the fact that when Vusimusi Matlala started receiving information that his SAPS tender, this 360 million rand SAPS tender, was coming under some sort of scrutiny, he had spoken or messaged Sinona regarding this, and Sinona told him, "Take them on, my brother," suggesting that he should go after the people that are trying to scrutinize this tender and this contract. Remember, the instruction for this contract to be cancelled was given by the police minister, Senzo Mchunu. He instructed police top brass to look into the contract. But it's also important to remember who was sitting on that contract and had essentially been part of the process for its awarding, and that would have been the National Police Commissioner, Fani Masimola. He would have been well aware that this contract was awarded to Vusimusi Matlala, possibly not around the details of the contract itself, but he would have been aware that it was. And it was only until Senzo Mchunu issued an instruction for it to be investigated that it was. So Lesetja Sinona's name has come out quite strongly. There was also allegations last week that he is the brother-in-law of Vusimusi Matlala. But that they didn't go into more details around that to provide evidence to suggest that they are related.
Okay, and what about his son, the General Sinona's son? Because it looks like, did he have any business dealings with Cat? What was the link there?
So we didn't see messages directly between Tato Sinona and Vusimusi Matlala, although they were suggested that there were messages. The messages that I can recall were presented between Lesetja Sinona and Vusimusi Matlala. But in those messages, there's reference to Tato quite strongly, and his business dealings and relationship with Vusimusi Matlala. There was some sort of evidence presented, Clement, to suggest that this business or company that is registered to Tato Sinona's name was receiving some sort of money from Vusimusi Matlala. So there was a definite link between Lesetja Sinona as the head of the Hawks in KZN and Vusimusi Matlala, and definitely interests being protected to ensure that his son's business activities can continue.
Sure. And of course, I've seen some people have been trying to remember when drugs were stolen from the from the Hawks offices in KwaZulu-Natal, and some people have been assuming or even suggesting that may have something to do with these guys that are now behind bars, and of course the relationship that they have with the head of the Hawks there in Gauteng. Can you, if you remember those details, and I don't remember if it was Nhlanhla Mkhonazi who mentioned it or if it's just been a matter of speculation, Orrin, but was there any link made to the drugs that disappeared or were stolen from the head of the Hawks in Gauteng, and how that may be linked to these relationships that he has with these guys?
I think it was quite a big story when it initially broke in KwaZulu-Natal, Clement. I had been working as a reporter down there and covered that story itself. From what I can remember, and I may have well missed it due to stepping in and out of the commission to do crossings or to file copy, but from what I recall, I think that it was mentioned very briefly, but there's been more speculation around it. If those that need to be filled in, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was in 2020 or 2019, a large consignment of cocaine that was being held at the Hawks' offices in Port Shepstone, which is south of Durban. About 600 kilograms of cocaine was being held at their walk-in safe. And it emerged that someone had broken in to Hawks' office and stolen this consignment of drugs. But Clement, it would have been very difficult, from what the Hawks told us at the time, that they had broken a small window, gained access to the walk-in safe, and then started piling these drugs out of the window into whatever transport they were using. It would have been very difficult to do that. You can't tell me their offices itself is in quite a built-up area. There's businesses around it with CCTV camera. We tried to get access to some CCTV camera, but due to the sensitivity of the case, some businesses weren't willing to comply. But we had received a tip-off from an attorney at the time to say that, look, you guys need to question the Hawks about this. 600 kgs of cocaine can't just go missing or be stolen from their walk-in safe at their offices. So I think there was a lot of speculation around that. And I think it goes higher than just Lesetja Sinona, because, I mean, at the time, Clement, Lieutenant General Godfrey Libia was the head of the Hawks. And you can't tell me that he wasn't privy to what may have happened around those drugs. I had questioned him personally about what's going on into that investigation of that consignment that was being held at your offices in Port Shepstone, to which he would often tell me that is still under investigation. That is still under investigation. But for 600 kilograms of cocaine to go missing from an office would beg a lot of questions.
And not just any office, Orrin, like the Hawks offices?
The Hawks offices. And I mean, it's a massive walk-in safe, Clement. It's not a tiny little safe. This is where they store drugs, where they store weapons and firearms, what police would refer to as an SAP-13 storeroom. And I believe, personally, someone walked in, there was an agreement, they loaded up all that cocaine, possibly the person who owned the drugs.
Yeah.
And there was some sort of deal, maybe a cut, because that does not make sense to me.
Doesn't make sense.
And I don't think it makes sense to a lot of South Africans.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't make sense at all. And now we're finding out that the head of the Hawks has had these conversations with someone like Ket Matlala and has had relations with them that may go beyond just them being acquaintances. What does that tell us? All right, let's move to the next top cob, the head of organized crime. What have we heard from the detectives around his behavior, the head of organized crime? Because it seems like he wasn't happy about the arrest of KT Molefe.
It was a bit difficult to understand in the beginning when witness A, B, and C began testifying early last week, Clement, because on the first day when witness A testified, and this is a detective from the Gauteng Counterintelligence Operations Team, he didn't quite clearly suggest that there was something untoward the head of organized crime, Richard Shibiri. What we heard from all three detectives last week was that they were constantly being called by the head of organized crime, Richard Shibiri, to be briefed on this case of Katiso KT Molefe. And the arrests that had been taking place when they arrested him on the 6th of December last year, but prior to that, they had arrested a number of individuals in connection with the murder of Vereniging engineer Arman Swart. And it seemed like Shibiri wanted to be briefed constantly on the matter, to an extent that the detectives began feeling uncomfortable, because in one instance, he calls them into his office at Pretoria, and he tells them that, look, I'm aware that there are 3 envelopes floating around, one for the investigating officers, one for the prosecutor, and one for the magistrate, to allow the accused that have been arrested in the Arman Swart murder to be granted bail. And he suggested, it came out later that it was to the tune of millions of rands. And the investigating officers were taken aback by this, because you're the head of organized crime telling us that you're aware that there's bribe money possibly floating around. So they asked him, what should we do about this? And he says, no, an inquiry should be opened. But when they left the meeting, they're like, but wait, why should we open the inquiry when you've just informed us about these possible bribes? We're not aware of it. You brought it to our attention. You're the head of organized crime. you should open this inquiry. And an inquiry was never opened. But I think what's more worrying is later we saw messages towards the end of last week with bank confirmation notes between Vusi Matlala and General Richard Shibiri, suggesting that there was payments between the pair. At one stage, Vusi Matlala asked him for bank confirmation letter. He sends a proof of bank confirmation letter, an APSA one, obviously all the details retracted, and money is then allegedly paid into that account. Whose account that belongs to is unclear, whether it's Richard Shibiri or not. But again, this is the head of organized crime communicating with people that are being investigated. And at that stage, Vusi Matlala was being investigated. And you can't tell me you're the head of organized crime, you don't know this. But it suggests that your intentions are to protect certain individuals who are coming under fire.
Yeah, this is so depressing. Head of organized crime. Like, okay, let's move to, I think Nkwashu, if I'm getting his name right. Is this the district commissioner from, is it Ferenacheng or the Val, who went to visit Katie Molefe to bring him clothes, and some food. And he clearly didn't want to be detected when he went to visit him, to prison, because he wanted to go, not during the visiting hours, and he arrived there with a car that didn't even have a number plate.
Definitely, there were intentions for him not to be recognized or his identity to be concealed to some extent, Clement. This was the then acting district commissioner for Sedibeng district, Brigadier Mbangwa Nkwashu. And his name featured quite early last week, where he called the investigating officer in the Arman Swat case, witness B, and told her that, look, I've been informed by the provincial commissioner of Gauteng, Tommy Mtombeni, that I need to collect all the dockets related to the Arman Swat murder. And bearing in mind that one of the alleged masterminds within that murder case was Katiso Katie Molefe. And the detective said that, look, I don't have the dockets in my possession. They were the director of public prosecutions. To which the Brigadier Nkwashu then says, okay, send me an email to that effect. But after he cuts the call with her, he calls her back, obviously now stressing, and says, oh, okay, no, don't worry about it. I actually don't need those dockets. You keep them with you. So it didn't make sense. You're telling us you've been instructed by the provincial commissioner to get the dockets, and then when the detective says she doesn't have them, oh, quickly, you don't need them anymore. And it's also important to note that Tommy Mtombeni's office never directly communicated with the investigating officer in the Swat murder case to say, I need those dockets. So that's when we first heard about Nkwashu, and then later we hear that he goes to visit Katiso Katie Molefe at Groenpunt Correctional Center, a maximum security center where he's being held after he was arrested. And he takes some clothes, he puts on a fake number plate on his vehicle so he's not recognized. And this is an acting district commissioner. He tells the prison officials that I am Molefe's brother-in-law to get access to the prison. But obviously, given who he is, he may have had some pull and been able to pull some strings to get access to this inmate, because it didn't emerge that they had any sort of family links. They're not related in any way whatsoever. But it just raises questions. You're a whole district commissioner. You're going to visit a person who's been arrested with strong links, allegedly, to a murder. And you're later linked to 3 other murders, and that of DJ Sambodi and DJ Vintos as well. And you're going to visit this person at prison, knowing full well that there are cameras around that are going to pick you up. And you even took the decision that I'm going to make take some means to ensure that my identity can be concealed to some extent. I'll wear a cap. I'll make sure my license plate is not the correct one. So very concerning stuff regarding Brigadier Nkwashu, without a doubt.
Have I left anyone else here in terms of, because I did include Tau. Tau is, of course, the former SAPS employee, but he has since been, was he fired, or I think he's resigned from the SAPS as soon as they arrested him in connection with the murder of that engineer. I think I've covered everybody here. Am I forgetting anyone, Orrin? Like senior cops that are still in the job right now who have been implicated by these detectives?
No, I think we've covered everyone that's of relevance in recent. Obviously, the names of Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya has frequently popped up, as well as Senzo Mtunu, but that's everyone that we've covered in the past, Clement. So I think these three officers that have recently been referred to are obviously of importance at this present moment.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Orrin, you won't believe this. I even got a message now on the WhatsApp line. Yeah. From someone who's telling us about the relation, how they know Nkwashu. I won't read this message because the person says, please do not read it. But basically what I'm saying here is they're telling us that they know him and they know him very closely. And this is someone who actually just loves money and a fleshy lifestyle. Thank you for coming through, Orrin Singh. Here's the thing. The question I'm asking you is based on what you've just heard Orrin Singh tell you about the involvement of these senior cops. Guys, these are not just like some senior detective. This is the head of the Hawks in KZN who has a relationship with Ket Matala. By the way, breaking news is that Ket Matala is going to stay behind bars because he appealed to the High Court when he was denied bail. So the High Court has now basically upheld the decision of the lower courts. He's going to stay in jail. This guy was busy talking to the Hawks head in KZN. They were so close. Remember, there was that cocaine, 600 kg of cocaine that was stolen from the Hawks offices. Whatever happened to that? Everybody was just shocked. Who goes and steals cocaine from the Hawks offices that was confiscated? And we still know nothing about it. And now you hear about the relationship that the head of the Hawks in KZN has with these guys that are accused of being in drug cartels. You had a head of organized crime sending bank letters to prove his account to people like Ket Matala. You've got a district commissioner in Sidibeng who is busy taking food and concealing his identity just so he can go speak to KT Molefe when he was arrested. These are senior cops. So the question I'm asking you is, why should they be in the service right now as we speak? I'm not saying fire them. I'm saying I'm concerned that they're going to use the resources they have currently in the SAPS to go after the people who are exposing them. So why are they not being placed on some special leave of sorts? Fine, keep paying them if you have to. But push them away out of work so that they don't use their resources at work to go after the people who are exposing them or to try and conceal information and interfere with investigations. I'm concerned. I thought that the corruption is probably at constable detectives levels. It goes up. It really does. Remember the guy who was protected by the SAPS in the Northwest? That kingpin. Kimang, that king. Who's that? Tiger. Remember Tiger? The Zamazama kingpin. Tiger, we still don't know where Tiger is now. This is a kingpin of Zamazamas that police knew they needed to arrest him. They put him in a comfortable car and drove him away. Everybody else was arrested but the kingpin. The police have since arrested some SAPS officers. Are you really convinced that there's no senior cop, knowing what you know now, who was involved in the release of that man, who's probably sitting on a beach somewhere enjoying cocktails because they knew a powerful cop? We're in trouble, I'm telling you. It's 5 minutes before 10.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
20 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Hi, Clement. Tronipo here in Don Park. Look, Clement, why people are not arrested? It just beats me. People must be arrested. Case closed. This thing of that, there's evidence. Day in, day out on Madlanga Commission, we see evidence. Every day there's new evidence that is being brought up. In the case of the property was seized there at Hangwane Maumela. Why there is no one arrested when this property that is being seized, out of criminal gains? And then why are not people arrested? I don't understand. Thank you, Clement.
Good morning, Clement. I had wished that you might have mentioned this KT Molefe's lieutenant the police officer, Tao, was just talking to some guy out here during the weekend in Soweto, who feels deeply hurt that Tao this policeman Tao killed a guy right here in Tladi. It's so sad out here. Thank you, sir.
Hi, Clement. This is Sele here. I'm wondering, why are the banks doing nothing when they see big sums of money moving in and out of accounts of people? I mean, I'm a teacher, right, in a foreign institution. I'm a lecturer. The amount I get paid are small, and each time I have to go through all sorts of documentation to justify these funds. But these guys are moving millions and millions, and they don't seem to be worried by banks asking them difficult questions. What is going on?
Yeah, look, what we'll do after 10 o'clock is continue with your calls and your WhatsApp. 8 minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702, and thank you for your contributions on the 702 open line. And I want to continue with those contributions because we didn't have enough time in the previous hour. I wanted Orrin Singh, our EWN reporter, to just lay the foundation and help you understand why this is a problem. That we've got such senior officers who are involved with these guys that are in jail facing very, 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 very serious charges. I mean, it's very questionable. And the fact that these people are still at work concerns me. Because what are they doing to try and put up a defense or put up a fight? How are they going to work with the people who are exposing their dealings with these alleged criminals? And I worry that we are probably waiting for something drastic to happen. I don't know, one of the detectives to die before there can be some urgency in how the police can deal with what has been revealed so far about these guys. And I'm not suggesting that just, fire people without following due process, or like you don't have to care what the law says, just get rid of them because of the allegations there. I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying we need to have due consideration around the role of these people in the criminal justice system and what them staying in office actually means, and what risk are we willing to take for the protection of this criminal justice system, but also for the protection of the people who are exposing these guys. Are we waiting for these guys to be killed? Are we waiting for their family members to be targeted before action can be taken? Is it possible perhaps to err and be cautious, to err on the side of caution and say, okay, let's ask these people to stay at home because what's being revealed so far is so drastic and so hectic. And yes, we may not have concrete charges for now, but so far what's been revealed is concerning. I mean, Shadrach Sibiya was suspended by the National Police Commissioner. And yeah, maybe the argument there is that the suspension was more to do with the political killings task team, but that's still questionable because that's not a decision that was taken a month ago or 2 months ago. So Fanima Semola, really, if he was serious about going after Shadrach Sibiya for the political killings task team, surely that would have happened a long time ago. Wouldn't it have? There are a number of senior cops who are currently at work right now as we speak. The head of organized crime, the Sidibeng District Commissioner, the head of the Hawks in KwaZulu-Natal. They have been implicated in shocking stuff. And they're still at work as we speak. Ket Matlala has just been denied bail again in the High Court because that's where he had escalated and appealed the matter to. But Katiso Molefe is released. Katiso Molefe is the same person that the detectives told us that he went and took Mr. Tau. Tau is a former cop who was working with Katiso Molefe. Police have evidence of Tau driving to Molefe's house, and then they go to Vereeniging because they were scouting for the whistleblower who was revealing that Tau's nephew was busy charging Transnet 149 rand or something for springs that actually cost much, much, much less, like 39 rands or something. And you're charging 159 rand for that spring. They went and they found a whistleblower, and that whistleblower was killed. Tau is now facing the charges of murder for this Aman Swart chap. And we're told that was even a mistaken identity because that's actually not the whistleblower who exposed it all. Yeah, I'm just so scared that we live in a country where even the top cops who appear to you as if they care about justice, they're doing their work, but behind the scenes, they're having conversations with alleged criminals, people who are linked to serious murders. And we are comfortable with those people continuing in office now. Let's go to your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. We've got Tinta as well who's calling us. Let me take Tinta quickly and then I'll go to your WhatsApps. Tinta, you're calling us from Mayerton. Good morning.
Matamela, good morning. Must do exactly what FW de Klerk did in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
During the late 80s and the early 90s, there were generals in the SANDF that tried to stop the reforms that were looming. And he appointed General Steyn to investigate, and because of that investigation, FW de Klerk, he retired 6 generals along with 17 other senior officers in the involvement of what was called dirty tricks. So this is exactly what Umatamela should do now with these generals that and top other senior officials.
Yeah.
Please research this. It was dubbed the Night of the Generals because of the dirty tricks in 1992. That's when de Klerk, he took the decision in 1992 and he retired many senior officers in the SANDF.
I'll check it out, Tinta. I suppose the question is, when should the president do that? Because the president is probably waiting for the Madlanga Commission to advise him on what to do. But my worry, Tinta, is that Madlanga Commission won't be done until probably after about a year or 9 months. So what happens in the 9 months? Because these guys are powerful in the corps. I mean, these are top cops. They can use the resources that they have, the state resources, to either conceal evidence or to go after the people who are exposing them. So, I mean, some of them are involved in protecting the guys who have murdered people. So what makes us think between now and the time when the Madlanga Commission comes up with its final report, these guys, we've just lost Tinta now. These guys wouldn't have done anything. And that's my worry. Knowing what we know now, what intervention do you think is needed? Because yes, we still need to protect these guys and their rights. And you don't just want to hear an accusation. And we're not just talking accusations here, guys. They are text messages. There are text messages that you can see. This is what they were communicating with each other. These are the bank letters they're sending with each other. These are the flats that are being purchased. These are the transactions that we're seeing. There's evidence of that. And yet, they're still at work. There are cops out there who have to report to these people and still respect them as the men of authority that they're supposed to be. With all that we know, with all the lengths they have taken to seemingly protect their friends, that the police are investigating, their own colleagues are investigating for very, very serious crimes. 072-702-1702 for your WhatsApps.
Good morning, Clement. This is John from Springs. I think that since a General Sibia was put on suspension, so same thing must happen to these senior police officials who are colluding with these criminals. And also, As for Katiso Molefe, he's very, very dangerous to these investigators. I don't know why he was released on bail. Thank you.
And by the way, remember when Fanima Samola suspended Shadrach Sibia? I mean, the question was, why is he preempting the Madlanga Commission? Because the president said Madlanga Commission must be the ones that decide who must be suspended, who mustn't, who must be placed on special leave. And I think what the president was trying to do is to avoid a scenario where these top cops fight each other and they start firing each other. I think that's what the president was trying to avoid. So he's trying to say, yes, as a national commissioner, it's within your right to take action against the deputy commissioner, but let's actually let the commission investigate and then they can take it from there. But the Fanima Samula has suspended Shadrach Sibia. But there are other people here now. What happens to them? Because Fanima Samula didn't do anything wrong legally. He's still legally obligated to oversee the SAPS, and he can take a decision against these deputy commissioners, which is fine, sure. But what's being done about some of these cops that are being mentioned, whose role is so concerning? Do we just move on, let it be? Some of them are accused of protecting criminals who had murdered even the SAPS members. These detectives, witness A, B, C, who have been testified at the Madlanga Commission, they've tried to take them out too. The people that the police believe have tried to take out these detectives have been protected by top cops, according to the investigators. Those top cops are still at work.
Hi, Clement and the team. What worries me most is the influence these individuals has in the SAPS. Yes, we can remove them or replace them, but we won't remove them or replace them with their influence. Their influence will remain in a certain segment of the SAPS. If you manage to assess and analyze Begitele's testimony, you could analyze that he still have got some internal info in the SAPS, which means he still have got influence in the sector. Thanks, David.
Good morning, Clement. Tsapo here from Florida in Rodiport. My take on this is that, this historically has been happening, that police are in relation with gangsters, but it was initially for intelligence purposes. But now it has turned out to be out of hand for benefits, for personal development, and selfishness. It's bad.
Yeah, the politicians are the one who are messing up our system, especially the police and the prosecutors. And these people are well connected with the politicians and even the campaigns of the ANC for whoever is going to be the president. They must unseal that Ramaphosa thing who supported him and see if Ket Matala and all of these other guys, gangs, are not going to appear on that docket. Unseal that thing, Clement. You're going to be surprised.
Yeah, some people are sending messages on the WhatsApp line, some of which I cannot read, and I want to respect some people because I don't want to put other people's safety at risk, right? But I did receive some of the messages on the WhatsApp, some people who know these top cops, and they're telling me what they know about them. And I think what we can do maybe is just do background work behind the scenes. But it's really quite shocking how even people are just telling you that we're not shocked to hear what this and that cop are accused of because this is our experience with them. Those are some of the messages I'm getting. And look, we do get messages even on the WhatsApp line when you have conversations that are even helpful to us. The last time I interviewed, what's his name? Sedge Kabonge. We got an anonymous call from someone who said, by the way, I always see Sedge hanging out with Shadrach Sibia at this and this and this hotel. And that's an information that was provided to us anonymously by a listener, and I did then immediately ask Serge about that when the producers told me. And Serge, that's when Serge Kabonge confirmed that he's actually close friends with Shadrack Sibiya. So I'm always so grateful when some of you who are close to these situations actually contact us to give us additional information, even if you can do that anonymously, because it actually helps us in trying to get to the truth. Now we know that Serge Kabonge is close to Shadrack Sibiya. Who is Serge Kabonge close to? Ket Matlala. Like, there's a whole web here. There's a connection that you see when you go to, okay, Shadrack close to Serge. Serge does business with Ket. Serge was with Ket's ex-girlfriend before the attempted murder. Ket's ex-girlfriend says Serge Kabonge actually is the one who provided information to Ket to say, this girl is on the way to this place. It's found. You can pounce on him. And the people tried to kill her. Why did they try to kill her? Because she says she knew that Ket is involved in Babita Diokoran's murder. It's so hectic. But you look at who is involved here. Who are the people being mentioned? Who's friends with who? And I wouldn't have known that Serge Kabonge and Shadrack Sibiya are besties until we got an anonymous call. So, thank you to some of you who always provide us with information, even if you do it anonymously, because that just helps us try get to the truth. Tulani, you're calling us from Centurion. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Hey, morning, Clem. I'm not sure if I heard you well when you said you think Masemola shouldn't have suspended Sibiya. He should have waited for the outcome of the Madlanga Commission. If that's what you said, I disagree with it, Clem, and I'll tell you why I disagree with that. I think these things can happen contemporaneously. Whilst the Madlanga Commission is happening, I think other actions do not necessarily have to be put on hold and wait for the outcomes thereof. I'll give you an example. Let's take one of the things that was said at the Madlanga Commission about some of the stuff that just came out there. Are you then suggesting that no arrests should be made in the meantime until the Madlanga Commission, for example, comes to an end and gives recommendations? I disagree with that. I'm one of the people that was even skeptical about putting a commission together, but at least now, because of the what's going on in the parliamentary committee and what is coming out, I think it was a good thing. But I disagree with the fact that things have to wait until that commission comes to an end and then action can be taken. I think they can happen contemporaneously. We can't, for example, wait. We can't, for example, wait and say no, we cannot act on that criminality that we've heard of in the Madlanga Commission and wait for its outcome. I think they can happen contemporaneously.
I agree with you, Tulani. So no, you had me wrong. I'm not suggesting that we must wait for the Madlanga Commission. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying I'm uncomfortable with the idea that we have to wait for the end of the commission for us to start seeing action being taken. So even with Shadrack Sibiya's suspension, I was trying to explain that I think the reason the president placed that responsibility of suspensions on the commission is that he was trying to avoid a situation where people are going to fight each other. Shadrack Sibiya and Fani Masemola don't already get along. Whether Shadrack Sibiya would be right to suspend, Fani Masemola right to suspend Shadrack or not, that's beside the point, given that already they don't get along. So they're going after each other. So to avoid that, the president wanted maybe an independent institution that can guide that process. But Fani Masemola didn't want to wait for that, which is fine because he's legally done what he's legally obligated and has the right to. Like, there's no question about that. What I'm saying is, why can't the same thing happen with these cops? Like, why are you not asking these cops, please stay at home? What we are finding out is actually quite hectic about your behavior. And these are not just mere detectives. The head of organized crime, the district commissioner in Sidibeng, these are like top cops. And I'm scared that the longer we wait and we say, let's just wait for the Madlanga to tell us what must happen to these guys. What are they planning now? That's what I'm scared of, because these guys they've been protecting are dangerous. They're accused of killing so many people. What are they planning now?
Absolutely, Clement. And I think the NPA really, I don't know what's happening there, man. The NPA is the one that should be acting on these things. I don't know whether they have too much cases, they are overloaded. I really do not understand, because these matters need to be brought to court by the NPA. Yes, the police would do the investigation, get the case to be court ready, obviously guided by the prosecutors. And then the prosecutors need to take the matters to court. But I really do not know what's happening with the NPA. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, Tulani. Yeah. NPA, eh? Don't get me started there. Anonymous says, Clement, what hurts the most is that there are juniors in the police who were instructed to do wrong things that the seniors instruct because they're fearing to lose their jobs. It hurts so much. That's a message there from Anonymous. Another person says, hi, Clement. I believe that those that have been implicated in the Madlanga Commission must be charged and get arrested. The law must take its course. Nobody is above the law. That's a message from Miketi. The problem here is maybe sometimes you don't have a stronger case yet. Maybe the police do not have a stronger case yet to charge these people with, because what happens in court, maybe what they have is circumstantial evidence. But there's no core evidence that they are able to say. Because fine, what if Ket Matlala sent money to the head of organized crime, if that's the case? You don't know what that is for. The head of organized crimes could argue that, oh yeah, Ket borrowed me money, lent me this money because my child was at university and I know Ket from the community. I don't know. He could make any other argument. You still must be able to prove causality or a link between the money received and maybe criminal acts that were committed. And until you've got that, you can't just run to the NPA and say, just arrest or, prosecute these people. Or you tell the police to just arrest. It's more complicated than that. But I'm saying, given that all of us agree, all of us agree, including the president, that we are at a crossroad. We agree that there is a level of compromise at some point, especially within the SAPS. I think that calls on us to be extra cautious. These guys can't just be allowed to continue with their work. They can't just be allowed to continue with their work. I'm scared that they may be causing more harm. I'm scared that they may go after the people who are exposing their relations with these alleged criminals. I don't think we should wait for that. Tutu says, Clement, we have known that some of the senior officials are in the pockets of even Somalia's Spaza mafia. That's why nothing is happening to these Spaza shops who are operating illegally. That's Tutu in Dobsonville. Tutu, at this point, you think to yourself, maybe that now makes sense. Maybe it makes sense why there's no effective action that hasn't been taken for so long. Tiger is still nowhere to be found, guys. This is a criminal that the police helped escape. Police officers have helped a criminal escape. And we've just moved on as South Africa because the cops went and arrested 2 cops. Really? They arrested 2? Some of them were returned to work or whatever. And I'm still convinced to this day, like I said on that day, that someone higher up, someone very higher up must have sanctioned that. It doesn't make sense to me that just junior cops or mid-senior cops just decided that, here's a man, we're going to just release this man. I think, especially when there were cameras there. Remember the story in the Northwest when those miners were coming out of the mine? It doesn't make sense to me. But we've moved on. But now with what we know about these cops that seemingly are compromised, what makes you think they would not create a pathway for a criminal like that to escape? Not even to escape, to be transported by the cops away from the other cops who wanted to arrest him. That's the mess that we're in this country. It's 10:31.